We've spoken at some length about opening our own restaurant, only in fantasy terms, and we bought a house in Point Lonsdale with the idea that maybe one day it would act as equity for us to go into business. So it's always been something that we've thought of, but up until fairly recently, I suppose the idea hadn't really formed shape yet, or taken shape. And I think this trip was really the catalyst for it. I mean, going over and having that exposure for Aaron, and then going up to Noma, where in Copenhagen it is very much about interpreting. For them it was, I suppose, they're reinventing Scandinavian cuisine, because for many years Scandinavia has sort of been a bit of a wasteland in terms of, I suppose, modern gastronomy, and going back to sort of nature-based cuisine. So for him to see that and think, okay, well, you know, we've got a lot to offer on the Bellerine, and up until fairly recently it hasn't been explored, and I think we've been very underutilised as a region. And then by the time we got to the US, we started thinking, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful, you know, we could do this or do that. And then we happened to go to a restaurant up in upstate New York called Blue Hill Farm, and that was it. We walked in, and we went on a Sunday where they have a special, which is a menu not dissimilar to us. So basically they take what they've got for the day and they create a menu. And we thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if that was what your restaurant was like every day? And it meant that guests would focus more on the produce than what form the produce actually took. And it would allow that flexibility for the kitchen to work within the seasons and work with producers. And we got back to New York and started sort of scribbling down some ideas, and then we got this phone call saying, well, there might be a place available. And we're like, wow.
You know, I've always had a passion for art, and I like to paint. I still like to produce art, and cooking's just, it is an art form itself. I think that for me, it's the stimulation every day of being creative and being in a pressure environment. It brings out the best in, and a lot of chefs will say the same thing, that you do your best work when you're under pressure. But what we wanted to do was just bring something new to the area, something exciting, something to spark a bit of interest from people in the area and from outside the area, and get people to come down this way, because it's such a beautiful part of Victoria and the world. You go to the theatre to see a show, you don't get to choose what your part of the show that you want to see, or so we wanted to bring a little theatre as well into the restaurant, and just let us do what we do. And it's important to get food that producers are ethically producing, because if we keep going the way that the supermarkets will have us go, then we won't. It's just horrible.
People often ask me, oh, why did you pick Loam? I had one man go, that's dirt, don't you? I'm like, yes, sir, I understand that's dirt. But from one perspective, people are really funny. You get all kinds. But I mean, again, it's, as I explained to people, I'm like, Loam, well, it's organic matter. It's a composition of a number of different things which go together to create this wonderful matter in which to grow vegetables. But we also kind of see that as the restaurant, that it's just not the front of house or the back of house. It's just not the food. It's got to be a team effort. It's got to be a whole cohesive matter, I suppose, that hopefully will allow people to have this experience that's more than just sitting down and filling their bellies, which is great. I love sitting down eating a bowl of pasta and going, oh, I'm so full. There's something to be said for that, but we're just trying to allow people to maybe have that chance to pause for a moment before you start eating and just go, oh, what is it that we have here?